Now excited to be joined by a very special guest, a repeat guest. It is the one and only Danny Wuerffel. Danny, you are here on behalf of Allstate Good Works team. You have the Wuerffel Trophy. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but I do think that what you are doing, like truly, this isn't even part of the plug, I swear. One of the great things about college football is that we have trophies like yours and organizations that actually honor the positives that are happening in this sport. So appreciate you being able to come on and talk about this.
Well, I love it. I love what I get to do with my life. I believe in service and creating unity and developing unity among folks. And so using this platform of football to do that has been fantastic. There's typically, unless you're the best player on the best team, you don't get a story about you, or unless you do something dumb, and then of course, in this day and age where there's so much about NIL and transfer portals, it's great, I think, and important to show the world that there are remarkable young men that are great teammates and great members of their community. And so we have a record number this year, 118 nominees for the Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. And then for the collective, the Allstate AFCA Good Works team has 197 nominees. And so we've combined these two great programs. You've kind of got like the All-American team of community service, and you've kind of got like the Heisman Trophy of community service. And together, we're just trying to tell the stories of great stuff and inspire more service in the world.
How impressed are you with DJ Lagway?
In just about every way, is a phenomenal young man. Comes from a great family. You look at his athletic ability. You look at, he's got the skills you hope a quarterback will develop. Hey, it's the whole game's on the line, and I'm going to throw the ball down the field and make a heroic throw at the right time and just deliver, and it's almost like he learned how to sprint before he learned how to crawl. He's still learning the offense and still learning all the footwork, and yet he's got that X factor. And then additionally, he happens to be the UF nominee for the Allstate Good Works team and Allstate Wuerffel Trophy. He's done so much in the community and working with Special Olympics. There's a great group in Gainesville called Made for More that I've been supportive of, mentoring young folks. And then he started a foundation and given some of his annual money to support female athletics at Florida. So super impressed with him.
Okay, I got to ask the question that a lot of people are wondering about as well, because I'm right there with you. Like everything that he does that I saw from him as a true freshman leads me to believe this guy can be the real deal, and he can be everything that Florida fans hope he can be. The shoulder. How nervous are you as someone that doesn't have control over that situation, over the fact that, he wasn't able to throw until May, and it's going to be a real question mark when he's actually out there taking real hits?
Yeah. Anytime, if your racehorse has a hurt leg, that's a little bit scary. And so with that, I haven't really gotten any inside information. I've heard different things, but the fact that he's been throwing through the summer here, I think is really encouraging and positive. And so we'll hopefully trust that's going to hold up, and he'll have a fantastic year.
Is there anything you could do as a quarterback when like, hey, I'd like to be able to protect my shoulder a little bit more? I'm going to be throwing. I'm going to be putting myself in those situations, besides just buying your entire offensive line every possible meal that they can stomach. Like, is there anything else you can do in that spot to truly protect yourself? Or is it just pretty much, hey, you're going to be out there and it's up to your awareness?
Well, I depending on what the injury is, there's contact injury where you don't want to get hit, but there's also just movement injury where, throwing is more the issue. And so I think, taking care of your body, the amount of physical therapy and rehab stuff that they have now is unbelievable. I think they do a much better job of monitoring the throws, the number of throws. I think I threw an ungodly amount of throws through my college and NFL career in the off season where I can't throw anything anymore. I've got terrible arthritis in my shoulder because I overdid it. So I think monitoring that, good warm-ups, good cool downs, can be really helpful.
What was the number with Spurrier throwing attempts in a day? Let's just say we're talking about a spring practice. Would Spurrier give you a number, or was it simply that there wasn't any sort of cap on how much you were throwing?
A cap or a number was never once discussed. And, your arms felt like a wet noodle by the end, and you do it over and over. And, we threw so many routes to receivers, sometimes even just putting them in spots. And I think that's partly why we were so good, was just the number of reps to hit your target and get used to where those receivers are going to be, and timing's perfect, and just go make the throw.
To be fair, there is no fun in gun if there is no gun. You got to have the gun if you're not, embracing that all in. Is this offense capable of being a high-powered passing attack? Because 2020 Florida was able to have that, but I would argue, really a lot of post-urban offenses at Florida, for whatever reason, that just hasn't come together. Do you look at this Florida offense and go, "Oh yeah, they can beat people consistently in the SEC, relying heavily on that passing game"?
I think time will tell. I would say I think Coach Napier is one of the most effective and great head coaches, culture builders, team builders. The way that they held their team together last year when things fell apart is truly remarkable in this day and age. However, what's the sophistication and effectiveness of the offense over time, I think is what we're gonna have to see. And I think they've showed a lot of bright spots in different areas. There's definitely a commitment, and the running game is super sophisticated and effective and hard to match up against, I think, schematically. So I think we have a really good base in the running game, and we can build some passing. I'd love to see a little bit more 3 receivers on the field. And I think we've got the players now. We've got some electric players, and Trey Wilson being healthy, I think is very important. So hopefully this is the year, and we'll see that.
I drafted Trey Wilson number 1. Will and I did a draft of comeback candidates in college football. And I took him 1 overall just because I think of all the guys that I fully am all in on and what we saw from him as a true freshman, I was just so impressed. And what he did in the slot, dare I say, as impressive as one Chris Doering in the slot? Or is he is the standard, though, for a Florida slot receiver, fair or not?
Yeah, I would say very different body types, very different skill sets. Chris was going to be big through the middle and get the catch, but, he wasn't going to break 6 tackles or take a jet sweep anywhere. No offense to my buddy. But Trey's looking like a beast. I mean, he's put on weight. He looks stronger. He looks just as quick as he ever was. And I think he's really, really motivated. Loves the chance to play with DJ Lagway. And so I hope he gets a lot of balls thrown his way.
You get to watch college football now as a spectator. Who are quarterbacks that are coming back in the sport? Not just, they don't have to be within the SEC, but who are guys that you look at and you just kind of like their game and you find yourself wanting to watch them more?
Honestly, DJ's the guy that I really am excited about. Slightly biased. I think there'll be a lot of eyes on Arch Manning in Texas and to see what he can do. But the reality is there's a lot of good quarterbacks in different places. I attribute that. I think that the training all through youth and high school, from throwing mechanics to understanding that there's just so many good quarterback coaches and training. So I think you're getting a lot more talented guys to show up and be ready to play. And then, there's a lot of schools that may in the past, Georgia may have always had the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the world, where now maybe they can only keep 1 or maybe 2. So you've got those other guys going to other schools. And so it'll be a fun year for quarterbacks.
Do you, as somebody that played college football in the 90s, a time that so many people have this certain nostalgia for, do you find yourself still into the sport in the way that you were back then? Or do you look at the landscape and everything that's changing with revenue sharing, not to go down those roads, but does it make you as a college football fan go, man, this is a little bit hard to digest with all that?
I think all those things are true. Especially the last, the way that NIL was sort of thrust into the world. No one had sort of planned for it and in that way. And so I think it just kind of became the Wild West, and you had all these money being said it's NIL, but it's really not NIL. And where's it coming from? And it's going through third-party collectives, and there's no transparency. And then you add the transfer portal at any moment where there's no accountability. And it just, to me, that would be an unsustainable process for college football to thrive.
What would have been your dream NIL deal in college?
Well, I don't know. I guess in a true NIL, you'd have to have a company that value you want to work with. I love eating at Waffle House, and they used to have the Waffle House sign, so that could have been a fun one. Who knows? But yeah, it would have. It was a tough, different era. I remember I played golf somewhere, and the last minute they were like, "Hey, we're glad you're here. You don't have to pay." And then few weeks later, I got a note from the compliance saying, "We heard you play golf for free. You're ineligible until you pay back $71.52 and show us a receipt." And so just a different era. I think there's players now on the Florida team that are making more money than I made in my entire NFL career. So how about that?
Was the head ball coach just a little bit upset that you played golf and had to pay it back?
I don't even know if he knew about that. He was probably just glad I played golf.
How much free golf has Spurrier played over the years, too? To think about that, of like, there's no way he's had to open up his wallet to play golf in the past, half century? I mean,
you never know. It's a good question, but I'm sure people are happy to host him.
Dream Waffle House order, go-to Waffle House order is what for you?
Get the 2-egg breakfast, scrambled eggs with cheese, and the hash browns. I get 4 tomato, diced and sliced tomatoes and onions times 4, 4 extra eggs with cheese, sausage on the side, mix it all together into its own bowl, and sometimes add a little bit of sausage gravy.
That's an order.
It's fantastic.
You would do that just in the morning, bro. That's not like a 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That's strictly like 8 in the morning type of an order, I would assume, right?
Most of the time it would be lunch. That would be a lunch meal for me. Maybe an early dinner, but I wouldn't want to eat that late. That'd be hard to sleep after that.
I'd be amazed. That the sausage. Nobody's pouring sausage gravy on to try and go to sleep. That's just not necessarily the move. Want to get you out of here with this. I know you got a bunch of places you got to be. Prediction for this Florida season. Do you have a record prediction in mind? If you want to go Lagway focus, take that whatever direction you want.
Well, I think a lot of it. A lot of my prediction would come down to if Lagway is healthy for the year. I think with Lagway, I think we got to be thinking, hoping, and expecting to get 9 wins and try to get in the playoffs. Anything less than that's going to be disappointing, regardless. Without him, that would be tough.
That's a fair prediction. The asterisk is very, very much necessary with all things Lagway, with all things Florida predictions. Really appreciate what you're doing. Can you tell the people one more time just how they can get involved? Allstate Good Works team, Wuerffel Trophy, everything related to what you got going on.
Yep. Well, the easiest way is if you can spell my name, DannyWuerffel.com will link you to everything, but WuerffelTrophy.org, you can find out more about the way that we're honoring the young men.
Danny, appreciate it.